turn it over to Kevin Kay, President of Spike TV.
All right. Well, thank you, Dave, and thank you all for joining us today. This is a really exciting day for Bellator as we begin the next phase of Bellator's evolution. And we're welcoming the very well-accomplished and successful founder, former CEO of Strikeforce, Scott Coker, as Bellator's new president, and he will be running day-to-day operations of the league effective immediately. As you all heard earlier, Bjorn Rebney and Tim Danaher have left the company. I want to thank Bjorn on behalf of Spike and Viacom for his efforts in building Bellator from the ground up. They did a great job. But as we move away from the tournament structure to a more traditional format, and as we look to the future, that's where Scott comes in. We're delighted to welcome Scott. He's an incredibly forward-thinking and well-regarded sports executive to Bellator. So before I turn it over to Scott, I just want to say that I will be available on this call to answer your questions, but keep in mind that I'm not going to be making any more comments regarding Bjorn or Tim. It's my pleasure to introduce Scott Coker.
Thanks, Kevin. I tell you, it feels good to be back. I'm excited to team up with Spike and Viacom, who, as you guys know, have played a very integral role in the success of mixed martial arts over the last decade. I see a lot of potential in Bellator. I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to build a brand and take it to the level that I think that me and my team can do. We got world-class fighters already in-house: Eddie Alvarez, Brooks Michael Chandler, Shlemenko, as well as some seasoned veterans like Joe Warren, King Mo, Rampage, and Tito Ortiz. And with a partner like Spike, the best in the business of promoting and broadcasting the sport of mixed martial arts, we have all the ingredients for success. We have a great opportunity, a great platform, again, great fighters. And as we move forward, my plan is to evolve the league from the tournament format that we've all known to see on Spike TV to a more traditional format where the fans get to see the fights that they want, more of a super fight format. Will we ever do tournaments again? Sure, we will do tournaments when the situation makes sense. And I feel that, the tournament has a place in the sport of mixed martial arts, but the timing has to be right, the fighters have to be right, and we'll determine that, on a case-by-case basis, or as we build fighters in each division, we'll, determine that at that time. We'll be a league where fighters can be proud to call home, and we've always had great relationships with these athletes, and I look forward to reaching out to some of them and saying hello and reintroducing myself to some that have been on the roster in the past. We'll be a league where fans can proudly support and know that the mission is clear: to showcase the best and most explosive mixed martial arts fighters in the world. And there'll be a place where advertisers and partners would be proud to be along with us. I'll be sitting down with the fighters, the managers, the promoters, and the Bellator and Spike teams in the upcoming days to map out a future. So one of the things I know you guys might want to get into who's fighting who or what's happening with this event or that event, but just please understand this has been my first day of the job, and work with me here a little bit. And saying that, I'll pass it back to you, David.
All right, let's open it up for questions.
Certainly, and if you'd like to ask a question at this time, please signal by pressing star 1 on your telephone keypad. If you're using a speakerphone, please ensure that your mute function has been turned off to allow your signal to reach our equipment. Again, that's star 1 for questions at this time, and we'll pause for just a moment to assemble our queue. We'll hear first from Dave Meltzer with MMAfighting.com.
Hey, Scott, how you been?
Good, Dave. How are you?
I'm good. First of all, what was caused you to get back into this? Were you missing it a lot, or was it just the right opportunity, or what kind of brought all this together?
A couple things. I got a call from Kevin, and this was all very recent. And we sat down, we talked, and I really liked what they're trying to do. And when I look at Bellator, like I said already, they have a great team in place, great fighters in place, a great TV platform, and the commitment behind MMA at Viacom, they're all in. And so I said, this might be a good place for me to reboot and start, Bellator 2.0. And so that was really it. The commitment that they had really made me feel like, I should go for it, because, as you know, Dave, this has been a martial arts journey for me. This is not about being a fight promoter and just promoting fights. I mean, I spent my whole life dedicated to either being involved in martial arts, teaching martial arts, or promoting martial arts. And so, yeah, I did miss it, and, I think that my golf game improved, but, retirement is overrated, and I highly, suggest everybody keep that in mind as you guys move forward, because really I love what I did, and I did it for 30 years. This is my 31st year of the business. I kept in touch with the fighters and some of the executives in different leagues, and this opportunity really came out of nowhere, and it happened so fast that, it's pretty exciting.
Is there anything, you talked about, it won't be so much of a tournament thing. But the plan is still to be doing, 12 straight Friday nights of shows in the fall, 12 straight Friday nights of shows in the spring type of a thing, so it'll be like a weekly thing, but not year-round. And also, is there any thought of changes, as far as, just throwing something out, bringing women fighters in, because I know they had it early in Bellator, and then they didn't have it, and they stopped using them a couple of years, maybe a year or two ago, I don't remember exactly when, or any other type of, ideas, you talked about super fight type things. People from the outside, the, non-traditional, Kimbo Slice's name came up. Anything on any of that stuff?
Well, the Kimbo Slice, this is I just heard about it yesterday, but I think that's a rumor. I'm not really sure, because, like I said, this is really my first day at work, and I haven't even met the complete staff at Bellator yet. I will say this, though. We are going to look at the roster, build a roster, start developing new talent, and, going out in the field and finding new guys and start looking for new stars. And we might share some, we might buy some, we might build some, and that's been our model in the past. That's worked for us, and we're just going to re-engage and start mining for those athletes. I think they got a great roster where it's at, but I can guarantee you in another year or even 6 months, our roster will be a bit more robust.
Would this also include, you did in the past, working with, Japanese organizations or European organizations? As far as, not having 100% control of talent, but using talent, that kind of jointly using talent?
Dave, how I feel is, look, if we can put a fight together that makes sense for the company, can drive the needle on Spike TV, then you know what? We're going to do it. And that's just how I feel. I feel like, look, some of these fights that we did in the past, we didn't have ownership of the athlete. We took the risk. The fights happened. They were great. They did great for our company. And I'm going to bring the same formula over here.
Okay, thanks. And good luck.
Thank you, Dave.
We'll hear next from Jason Floyd with the MMA Report.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for taking my question. First, Scott, I got to ask you, will you go away from the season format that Bellator has done since their inception?
You know what? I'm not sure if I can answer that right now. I would say to me, my vision is a little bit more of continuity and maybe not something that happens every week. But, build big super fights. And I think that the season, I think it should be a year-round sport. It shouldn't have a season. But, to be honest, that's, again, something I got to sit down with Kevin and all the guys at Bellator and then see the direction. And I'll have a better understanding tomorrow after we go down and meet all the staff tomorrow.
For guys like Dave Jansen that have earned their title shot by winning a tournament, do they still have a title shot, or is that being now re-examined?
Well, you know what? That's something that I would like to refrain from answering right now because, like I said, this is my first day here, and that's something I could probably answer by the end of the week.
There's a final question for me. I'll let everybody else get in. There's a lot of perceptions about Bellator with the fans, and a lot of it is about the Bellator contracts. What will you do to kind of win back some of the fans that maybe have turned away from the Bellator product?
Well, we're going to put on exciting fights, and that's something I know we can do. And I watched Bellator in the past, and I've seen some exciting fights. There's some great athletes there. And so as far as the contracts and all that, we'll review that, and then we'll take action as how we see benefits the company.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
We'll take our next question from Alex Schlinsky with Fansided.
Hi, Scott. First of all, congratulations. I just wanted to know if you had any comments about Quinton Rampage Jackson considering retirement. Earlier today, he posted a post on Instagram about possibly retiring from the sport of MMA. Do you have a comment on that?
I did read the comment, but I know that we'll be reaching out to his management and having conversations here in the very near future. I mean, Quinton has been a legend in the sport, and we would love to work out all the kinks of that deal or whatever the issues are, and I'm sure that we will be able to do that.
Excellent. Thank you, Scott. Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
As a reminder, that's star one for questions at this time. We'll go next to Ariel Helwani with MMAfighting.com.
Hey, Scott. Congratulations. Thank you. A couple questions for you. Do you now own a piece of Bellator?
Oh my gosh, Errol! I cannot believe you're asking that, Errol. But
why not?
Well, I mean, you know what?
It's Kevin. Let me jump in there. We're not going to talk to Ariel about any financial arrangement or any of Scott's deal or any of Viacom's business. So, good try.
Okay. What about it's been long talked about that you have your guys that you like and that you've worked with for a long time. Will you be bringing in any of your own, staff members to help you build the company back up?
Well, I think at this point, Ariel, I have not met the staff here yet, and my first course of action is to go down there tomorrow and meet with them. And if you think about the job that those guys have been doing week in and week out, and they have been hitting that road and working super hard, and it's impressive. And I'd like to meet them, get to know them, and everything is on the table at this point. I mean, this is I don't want to say like a 2.0 relaunch, but we're going to do what's best for the company. But a lot of my guys that were there before already have jobs and have moved on. So to me, we're going to take that one at a time.
And you only kind of became free to explore other options recently. Did you kind of weigh between all right, I want to start something on my own as opposed to coming into something that's already established and having to learn on the job? There's not a lot of time before the first event and things like that. Like, did you have that kind of internal struggle between taking some time, building your own thing, smelling the roses, as opposed to this opportunity that popped up?
I mean, the phone was definitely ringing. I took a lot of calls, talked to a lot of people, and I had a lot of choices, and really, I think I made the best choice, and I'm happy with it. And I'm going to go out there and work hard and put on some great fights and build this company the best that I can do.
Okay, I just have two questions for Kevin, if I may. I know recently that it was announced that there'll be another pay-per-view. Is that still the case, or has that been wiped clean now?
No, you know what? I think we got to figure it out, and I think, as Scott said, first day on the job, we got a lot to talk about, but I think our plan is to go forward. We got a lot of work to do, and and I think to the question of fall season, we do have a lot of fighter deals in place, a lot of contracts in place. We have venue deals in place, so a good deal of that we obviously want to move forward with, and I think what we're talking about here is an evolution over time. To the vision that Scott has, and it's something Scott and I have talked a lot about. It's not going to happen overnight, but sooner rather than later. But we do have a fight on July 25th. We have a season to launch in the fall, and we're going to stay on track and get that done.
And then one last thing for you: can you just explain why you felt like this was the right decision for the organization now?
Look, this is, as Bjorn put it in his comments in the press release, this is a discussion that we've been having for some time about tournament-based versus a different way of going. And we felt like this was, when Scott became available, it was the right time to do it.
Thank you.
We'll take our next question from Jeremy Johnson with That MMA Show.
Hey, Scott, congratulations on making it back to the MMA world.
Thank you.
My question to you is, will we see you now go after some of the fighters that you may have had with relationships with in Strikeforce? Also, will we see you now go towards some of the different venues that you used to do back in the Strikeforce days, St. Louis in particular, things like that you had good relationships with and also had good crowd draws?
Well, the fighter situation is, look, those guys are already under contract and have another home. So, those fighters are not going to be accessible. And but there are other fighters around the world that are going to be available. or fight for other leagues that we could do trades and we could do some big super fights together. And we'll build some. Believe me, we were very good at building new stars. If you look at the guys that came out of the Challenger Series, we had Daniel Cormier, we had Ronda Rousey, we had Tyron Woodley, we had Luke Rockhold. I mean, that's just to name 4 or 5. But we developed a lot of talent out of that thing, and we'll be looking for that next star to build up.
And then what about potential new locations?
Yeah, the cities, I mean, that's still open for discussion. I know that Bellator traditionally has gone to a lot of Indian reservation casinos, and, I think that will continue. But also I think that we'll do some bigger venues as well. But honestly, it's something that needs to be spoken about, and we'll have a better answer, in a couple of weeks.
All right, thank you, Scott.
We'll hear next from Greg Savage with SureDog.com.
Hey, Scott. Kevin. Scott, I got a question about your previous Showtime partnership as well. Is that something we could see happening again, them being under the same banner, Viacom banner as Spike TV?
I'm not sure, because I'm not sure how all that would work. I think that the job is very clear now. Put those big fights on Spike TV and move the needle as best as we can. So I'm not sure if that's going to be something that is going to happen down the line.
No discussions in that regard already, then?
No.
And what is your vision for this? You talk about changing the platform from the tournament-based system we've seen in the past, and going forward, what would you like to see? Is it going to be something that resembled Strikeforce in the past, or is this something new that you think you can do? You have that tiered system with the Challenger Series in the past, and you have the potential for tournaments to create that tiered system in Bellator now. Is that something you see going forward?
Well, I think it can be a mixture of both, and I think that what you've seen in the success in the past of Strikeforce, we will definitely try to bring that into Bellator. And but Bellator has success of their own, and we'll try to maybe do a hybrid to make something that all the fans want to see.
Well, good luck, Scott.
Thank you.
We'll hear next from Jeremy Brand with MMAsucker.com.
Hey, Scott. Just wanted to ask you, in your last interview after leaving your UFC contract or Zuffa contract, you said that you would be doing a little traveling, seeing some countries. How much did that play a part in your mindset to get back into this whole MMA game?
I mean, I went all over the world for the last, 2.5 years. Got to see all the countries I wanted to see, and had a great time. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, you can only sightsee so much and travel so much and be on vacation so much. But really, I felt that, again, this has been a martial arts journey for me. This has not just been about being a business of being a fight promoter. And I put my heart and soul into it, and I will here as well. So I hope that answers the question.
Definitely. Now, Ariel asked Kevin about the pay-per-view format and whether it would be going back to that. What are your thoughts on doing pay-per-view?
Well, to be honest, that's something I need to talk to everybody internally first to make a comment, but I will say this, from my understanding, the last pay-per-view was a success. And so, to piggyback off that success and build a bigger success in the pay-per-view business is something that, right now I don't have an answer, but, give us a couple weeks.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks.
And as a final reminder, that's *1 to ask a question at this time. We'll hear next from Jack and Connertown with the Boston Herald.
Hi, first question is for Kevin. Kevin, how do you feel about Bellator co-promoting with other organizations to put fights together?
I am 100% fine with that if it's the right deal, and, that's up to Scott, honestly. He's done it well in the past, and, I'd fully support it.
Very good. Scott, congratulations. I wanted to ask you, what was the first time Spike reached out to you about coming in to run Bellator?
I mean, it was very recent. This was not something that was ongoing for, months upon months. And, I think the ink is still dry on the contract. So it was very recent. It all went down very quickly. I wasn't, I'm even still not 100%, prepared. Still running around with my suitcase and staying in hotels. So give me another 2 or 3 days, and I'll be ready to rock.
Sure. Coming up on September 5th, Bellator runs Mohegan Sun, UFC runs Foxwoods. How important is it to you to win that ratings war that night?
Well, you know what? That's something I'd like to hold back on commenting on that because, it's something that we have to discuss internally first. So we'll probably have something to announce after I talk to the Bellator staff because, like I said, they have a whole army of people down there that have been running this company, and I have yet to sit down and talk to them yet.
Okay, and last question for you, Scott. Do you feel like you have more money to work with now to sign fighters and make fights happen than you did under the prior Strikeforce financial model?
Well, you know what? I know Viacom is committed, and Spike TV is committed, and they're going to throw a lot of resources behind this product. But, I think if you look at the history of Strikeforce, we paid fighters a lot of money, and there wasn't any fighter that was out of reach. I mean, we paid Fedor a ton of money. It's all relevant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Heidi Fang with MMA Fight Corner.
Hello, and thank you for the time. My first question to Scott is, will the schedule still remain exactly the same on Spike TV as far as being a 12-week series, and will those still be held on Fridays also?
You know what? I think that everything is on the table at this point, and we like I said, we have to go internally and discuss that. Honestly, this is my first day here, and I need to sit down with the Bellator staff and the Spike and Kevin and have that discussion. So, right now I'm just not ready to answer that.
Okay. Also, another question regarding the women's division. Bellator had done away with the women's division, and I'm curious if under your reign, if you will look to bring the women's division back.
You know what? I think the female division is something I believe in, but we'll have to wait to see how that goes. Again, it'll depend on how many fights we do, how many slots we do. You can only employ so many fighters. There's only so many slots, TV slots. So we will evaluate that, but traditionally I do like to have female fighters fight. I mean, we had some great fights in the past with Gina Cyborg and Rhonda and Nisha, and and that's just a couple. But I've always believed that in the martial arts field that there is a place for female MMA, and I've always felt like that.
Thank you. And my last question is, currently the lightweight division has an interim champion, Will Brooks, as well as a lightweight champion. And I'm curious if you're planning on holding a fight where they can unify that title anytime in the near future.
You know what? That has to be discussed. I hate to just keep going back on that, but when we talk about what venues, what fighters, that's something that we'll have some announcements shortly. But I still have yet to call all the guys and all the fighters, which I want to do today, and introduce myself, like I said, or reintroduce myself, and get on the same page with the Bellator staff here in LA, and then we'll start making some moves.
Great. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
We'll take our next question from Brett Okamoto with ESPN.
Hey, Scott, congratulations again. Most of my questions have been answered. I guess the only one that I had left was, do you see the need or do you see the desire to create an official Bellator matchmaker title for somebody, and do you see someone taking that from who's already inside the Bellator promotion, or could you see someone, do you have any interest in bringing someone in from the outside to fill that role?
Well, my understanding is that Sam Kaplan is the matchmaker for Bellator, and he's an employee of Bellator, and we'll be there. Is he there tomorrow? I don't think he's. We'll be talking to him on the phone. But yeah, I know Sam from way back in the day when he was working. I think as a freelancer when we were doing the co-pros with Pro Elite. I'll give him a call today. But that is the matchmaker for Bellator.
Okay, great. Thanks. Go ahead.
Thank you.
We'll take our next question from John Gross with johngross.com.
Josh Gross. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good. Scott, just take me through your thoughts on where the fight game is at this stage from when you sold to the UFC. How has it changed, and what lessons did you learn along the way from your last few years that you feel like now stepping back into the role of promoter, you maybe have more perspective, or it's a little change of vision in terms of where you want to take the company? It's a new one. It's not your baby. You're an employee, but just walk me through where you see the space right now and where Bellator fits into that.
Well, when you look at the mixed martial arts industry now, I mean, I think there is a lot of content, a lot of fights out there, but I tell you what, when we were starting Strikeforce, think about who was out there at that time. You had a lot of content out there with Pride and IFL and Pro Elite, Affliction, UFC. So there's a lot of product out there, and I think that that's not a bad thing. And I think that when I talk about the mission of this company, I mean, it really comes down to the fighters and the athletes. I mean, we're gonna develop some world-class fighters, and we're gonna put these fights on, and I think the platform here, we had a great platform with Showtime, believe me, but the platform here, I believe it's about in 3 or 4 times as many homes, and you got to start build. This is a start building business. This is not about at least my belief is it's not about just the league. It's about building the stars and making big fights happen that people want to see, and fights that move the needle. Not all athletes move the needle, as you know, Josh. So we're going to find those athletes, and we're going to build them up, and we're going to put them together and do our best to move the needle for the network.
Do you feel like the promotion to this point has fallen short of that? They haven't built enough stars despite the platform? Do you see missed opportunities?
I mean, if you look at the ratings are great. So I don't think that's the case at all. And I think that if you look at the early history of Strikeforce, I mean, I think that Bellator has a bigger roster than we did when we first started. So I'm coming to a great situation here, and I'm just going to build and add on to that, and put our special sauce on it, and make some great stuff.
Are you going to stay in Newport Beach, or are you going to have the offices, if you can, move up back to San Jose? Any plans on that?
You know what? I think everything's on the table at this point, and we just have to discuss that internally.
Okay. Congrats. I hope to talk to you soon. Take care.
Appreciate it.
Our next question comes from Steven Morocco with USA Today.
Most of my questions have been asked, but I guess I just wanted to ask a real simple one, Scott. Do you still see Bellator as primarily a TV product, or do you see it branching more into a hybrid? I know they just started doing pay-per-view, but how do you see the promotion in the future?
Well, I think it's been a television product for Spike TV since they took on the UFC back in 95 or 96. So it's been a product for television. I will say this: the last pay-per-view, the numbers were impressive. I think they have something to build off of and launch to the next one. So, whether it stays just a TV model or sprinkle some pay-per-views in here or there, that is yet to be determined. But I think that it has the potential to do both.
And is Kevin still on the line?
I'm here.
Can you quantify the success of that first pay-per-view? We've heard 100,000 buys, and we've heard, I've heard lower, I've heard 50,000. I figured I'd just take a shot at it. I'm pretty sure you won't answer, but figured I might as well ask.
I'm hesitant to answer because when we have traditionally, I shouldn't say we have traditionally never released pay-per-view buys, but, we haven't done pay-per-views. I'll stand by that 100,000 number, though, and tell you that is a dead-on accurate number.
Okay, thank you very much.
And as a final reminder, that's star 1 for questions. We'll pause for just another moment to allow everyone the opportunity to signal. And it appears we have no further questions in queue at this time.
Okay, everybody, thanks for joining.
That will conclude today's conference. Thank you all for your participation.